Hello everyone. In this session, we are going to see how to enhance and react this application in real time using Github Copilot and Bard. Already we have seen theoretically how they work and how Bard works and how other tool works. But in this session, we are going to see in real time project how I'm going to utilize Github Copilot and Bard and make things done little better. Let's go to the project. So we have created a story. Now I'm clicking on the story what we have created. So this is like simply hello, my name is Microman or something. Basically, I'm going to edit this. So let's discuss about the extending of this thing. So as we discussed, this is an AI prompt. Basically, I'm going to make this little dynamic that instead Microman, I'm going to give double curly braces and name. And I'll just say that hello team, my name is, I'll just say that hello, my name is something which is dynamic. I would like to reduce my weight to, and this is also dynamic, which is a number. We can say that weight to this. Can you please help me with workout types? Can you please help me with workout type? Right, this type would be either beginner or intermediate or something. These three are dynamic. So now our task is to read this text from the story detail page, and wherever the curly brace is there, we have to show the dynamically input. And then if anyone provides the input dynamically, we have to copy the content and forward it to the OpenAI API and get the results back and print it in the page. That's the next task. So I'm going to publish this task as of now. So this is being published. So now you can see that this is how it is looking. So now we have to generate a dynamic text, dynamic inputs from the existing text. So for that we need a code, right? So instead we have the story detail task story detail story as a page is there. So we need to analyze the content of this, right? So for that we can go to the, so generally what we have to do is we just need to take the content. I think we know the content, right? Story, I think story, yeah, they are setting it to the set.story, right? So we can write a new use effect here. Let's update the dependencies here first as of now. So let's write a new use effect. Okay, so this use effect actually, let's go to the bard.com to generate the code. Use effect to loop through the story content and find word in between double braces, double brackets, and store it in brackets. Let's find this out. It has given some content, but I want it in a regex approach. Well, story content, right? So enough things we have not yet provided. Story content. Let's give an example. Story content should look like this. Hello name. So we are actually training our AI to generate it. Story content. Need solution with use effect with projects pattern. Yeah, it has given some pattern. So let's utilize this in the use effect. So now let's write the const find word in between flower double flower brackets. Okay, and we have to pass a word to it, and we have to this is a regex. Okay, so this regex basically is a, yeah, and const matches, and it's a regex, right? Regex dot exec of word, and it should return the matches. right? It should return the matches. So I would like to take all the matches. I don't want one. So now we need the story content, right? Story content equal to story dot content. Of course, we have the story dot content. Basically, or empty. This is how it should be. And we need input text fields because dynamically we need to show those. It should be array, right? Then we need to loop through each and every word. We need to split the word with double. Okay, and then we need the matches, right? So that, and if the matches exists, then actually we need to push all the words basically to the. Let's take one more const. Okay, let's not take any other things. We know the input. We know the input text fields what we are filling, and it's a for loop is there. So let's create a new object here. Const input. Input contains label, which is matches of 1, and value, which is empty, because value users will enter. So now input text fields dot push of new input. Basically, this input text field contains all the dynamically generated inputs. So now let's create a new set state like const inputs, set inputs. Okay, now let's store these values after the for loop. Okay, it's done. Now the use effect need dependencies. So let's add the dependencies here. Okay, so now input contains all the things. So now let's create one dynamic input component. Dynamic input, which should accept two things. One is label and the value. Okay, let's accept input and input text is there, and let's write one const input value, set input value, const and input change, set value change. So these all being basically given by the Github Copilot. So here in the input type, we need to provide those handler, on change event handler, and we'll give one style. Margin with margin 100. Okay, what I have given input value I have given, but its initial value. Okay, fine. So dynamic inputs has been created. So now let's render these dynamic inputs. So these dynamic input components should be rendered below the story content. So the story content has been rendered somewhere here. Yeah, it has been rendered here. So now let's take one division, and it has to be looped over input fields. Key should be index, label should be label, initial value should be value. Yeah. So now the code has been written. So now we can test it, how this is working right now, right? Input fields are not defined. So inputs, right? It's not input fields. Okay. Now let's test this. See, you can see that inputs has been created, but there are like double thing happened. So we'll find it out why this is happening. It's an issue, right? So it's being printed twice. We'll find this out. First thing, we need to inspect this. Div input wrapper, dynamic input. Yes, it's a dynamic input. Okay, let's print how many inputs, how many fields actually it's being shown in the input. Okay, in the for loop. So we can print the console log here, console.log of input fields. Okay, so we'll see what's the issue. So it should print 3 only, like name, weight, and type. So we'll see what all that's being printed. Oh, it's being printing 6. Why it's 6? Oh, name also being pushed. Why? Okay, because of this. Okay, because of this line, it's being pushed. Now, if I remove that, if I refresh this, you can see name, weight, and type are being basically you can see it dynamically. If I change this type to something else, now let's say, for example, if I'm changing type to types, and if I save this, so you can see it has been printed types, right? Because it's looping through each and every content and finding where the double braces are there, and then these values dynamically. Now our task is, if I'm giving my value like micro 1 and I'm having 70 kgs beginner. So it basically what should happen is this value should replace this flower braces and copy it and send this value to the OpenAI APIs to generate the prompt. So now our task is to replace this text with the entered content. So that for that I'm gonna create a button here in the bottom, just below our dynamic content. So I'm gonna create a div I'm gonna write a button, right? It says that generate AI content. Well, so here generate AI text. Okay, so this generate AI content, we have to define a method in the top. AI content method, we need input values, we need to loop through the input values, and we should get the each and every input, we should get the each and every input value, so we know the input. Okay, then we need a regex to replace the input values with basically wherever the curly brace is there, and we know the content, so the content should be replaced. Dot replace. So the content value should be replaced actually. So from where the content is being generated, actually we should take this let content. Okay, so content values are being replaced. And it's a string, so we are just taking out the spaces as well. Okay, and then so let's create a new div here, because to copy it, basically we need a div over here to copy the content. So this is a div, so we need to copy the content, right? So copy content, we are creating an element here of div, and then copying the content. For copy content, we need to keep one attribute to copy the value. Dot set attribute of id content to be copied. Yes, and then we need copy content inner HTML. We need to basically set the context, and then we have to write copy. We have to copy the content, right? So that's why I'm using copy as a new method to copy the content. Copy content dot inner text. So the text should be copied. So once the text copy happens, we should remove the copy content removed from the body, right? Otherwise this element always stays. So we have to write a method copy over here. So we need to implement the copy method now. So for copy, basically what we can do is, so we have so many libraries. I'm going to use one of the library right now, which basically copies the text from copy text to clipboard. This copy method takes care of it, copying the content. So now let's see whether the content has been copied or not on click of it. What did he say? Export copy, import as copy was not found. Oh, why it's not found? Okay, I think I should remove this. Yeah, I'm gonna refresh it. So now I'm gonna give some values like Sidhu, okay, micro 1, 70, and beginner. If I copy it, so this value should be replaced and this should be copied, right? So now if I'm going to inspect it, and in the console, I'll try to paste the value. So you can see that, hello, my name is something, I would like to reduce something. Okay, so the values are not yet being copied. So we'll see why. So the content is copied, but the values are not replaced. We'll see why. On click of things. So I have a question that input.label, input.value. Oh, now I got it. Why these are not copied? So the value we were not entering, right? Okay, in the dynamic fields, so we need to give one more thing, that ID or a reference actually. So here I will give label as an ID. So this is a rough code. So I need to go loop through the input values to input dot value equal to document dot get input element. Yeah, this basically what it is doing is from these inputs, whatever values we are entering, pushing it to the input dot value, and then these input values will be replaced here. So now let's see whether it will work or not. Micro 1, 70, beginner, copied it. See, now you can see my name is Micro 1. I would like to reduce my weight to 70. Can you please help me work out without workout beginner? Cool. Great. So now this value should be passed to the AI, basically one more API to generate the response, right? So for that, once the remove happens, we need to make an API call. For that, I'm going to use a try catch console.log of error. Okay, so in the try, I basically need to make an API call, right? So response axios.post. Yeah, so you can see generate AI content. We need to make a call, but our API is API/generate response. Okay, so for this we need to pass message. Okay, message. What message? Copy content dot inner text, right? So this message I passed. After that, what I need to do is I need to set this to the state to print the value AI response, right? Well, yeah, it's done. So now this value need to be put it in the state. Okay, so it's giving suggestion. I'm using this. So now this value should be printed. So for this, I'm going to use, for effectiveness, I'm going to use a type animation React library. So import type animation from React type animation. Yes. So this type animation library needs to be utilized in the bottom, just below the button click, right? Or above it, wherever you feel it's comfortable, right? So I'm going to use it below. Okay. So I'll write a statement like AI generated text response should be there, then only print it, and it's to type animation. And for the type animation, the cursor is true, and sequence I'm giving in which sequence it should be printed. I'm giving AI generated text response, and then wrapper span I will use. Okay, And then speed should be 50 is fine, I feel. And then style, I will give some style to it. I think 16 pixels I'll give it here. Cool. So, and then I'll just wrap it inside a one division to style it better way. So yeah, so for this I'll write some inline style, background pink, border solid, and padding 5 pixels. Okay, and margin top, otherwise the button and this will be adjacent. Margin top 10 pixels, right? Fine. Now let's see how this is looking. So I'm going to refresh this. Okay, I'm going to write statements, micro 1, weight 70, beginner, right? So I'm going to make a request, generate a text. It's basically making a request to the backend, but it is saying cannot read properties of undefined reading message. Good. So it's basically clicking on the generate a content. So here it's unable to take this message. So response.data.message, it's unable to generate. We'll see why. Okay, why? We'll go to the network, what response it has been provided. It has given some Excel strips, but okay, I think we just need to, okay, from response, it's giving preview response.response only, right? Okay, we no need to do this. From the response, we just need to take, I think we can use like this, right? So let's try now. Clicking on the micro 1, weight 70, types beginner. Writing text, API is good, okay, but something happened. What happened? Let's refresh it. So the text is not being printed. Okay, we'll do that. We'll make a console message here. Console.log of response. Let's remove this. Okay, now I understand what's happening. So the thing is, it's a promise, right? So the promise is being sent. So we need to make this async await so that it can wait till the promise has been resolved, right? So we need to make this async await. Now let's see how this works. Okay, now I understand. Data came, data.response, it is there. Okay, in the data.response, it has some information, right? So the response is coming. So we are not saving it as a data.response. So now let's do like this. Data colon response, right? If there is no response, let's give it empty. Okay. Now let's test this. So now you can see the AI generated text came and it's trying to give some information. So that's all I wanted to show you in the real time how we can utilize the Github Copilot and Bard. So somehow it can help you to increase your productivity. So that's all from this section. Thank you.